as many as 50 ships anchored in the water. No movement for days at a time. Some ships taking 10 days to unload. Not enough freight trains. Retailers waiting anxiously. Delivery costs going up. Merchandise not getting to the market. Consumers finding shelves empty. Demand for goods continuing to increase. Is this a preview of things to come? Will Southern California suffer perennially with inefficient goods movement when growth doubles and triples in the years ahead? Will the shipping industry and major retailers find ways to bypass Southern California's ports and warehouses? Or has the goods movement industry learned valuable lessons about working together to plan for the future? The crisis of 2004 was a wake-up call for the region, the nation, and the world.
If it becomes too costly to deliver product through these ports, then the large shippers have already indicated a willingness to distribute product elsewhere. I mean, it's well known that Walmart is distributing part of its product that initially was destined through our ports and now goes to the Port of Savannah. If you're looking at the decision from an economic point of view of having a vessel sit out there for 10 days, or you're looking at having that vessel go through the Panama Canal to a port in Savannah, then the calculation will make some sense at certain times.
The recent goods movement crisis forced participants in the global supply chain to rethink how they do business in Southern California. While many of the world's major ports experienced increased levels of congestion, local ports were particularly hard hit. The crisis magnified the already integral role these ports play in bringing foreign-made products to the U.S. market. Over the course of 5 months, over 100 ships were diverted from Los Angeles and Long Beach to other ports north, south, and east. The primary recipients were the ports of Oakland and Seattle-Tacoma. Some of the diverted ships and cargo may never come back to Southern California. As larger ships delivered more containers than ever before, trucks were caught in delays and could not keep up with the growing stacks of loads piling up at the docks. Ships at anchor burned more bunker fuel than necessary while waiting to unload, adding to the concerns about air quality. Every day that a ship sat idle in the water cost the shipping company between $50,000 to $100,000. Growth in cargo placed renewed pressure on a stressed rail system and highway network. The situation highlighted the need for terminal operators and the ILWU to work together, hiring sufficient numbers of well-trained workers to move goods from ship to dock and out of the ports. Retailers saw their plans for stocking the holiday shelves and advertising merchandise sales adversely affected. Some stores scrambled to obtain their goods before the Thanksgiving weekend. The cost of delivering and receiving imported products continued to rise. This trend is likely to continue, reversing a 2-decade-long windfall for consumers, where goods transportation costs were marginalized or in decline. Warehousing time and costs will increase, and the just-in-time delivery strategy will be seriously challenged if greater efficiency is not achieved.
A 7-day delay for us means that all of our plans that are dependent upon the precise timing of goods arriving at a port, getting on a rail if they need to get on a rail, getting into a distribution center, and then getting to that store on time, all of that is now up in the air. You just don't know. It leads to things like extra overtime, extra shifts. As most of our customers know, we run primary catalogs, circulars, and toy books as we go into our holiday time. Tremendous amounts of toys, specific toys get sold. Our stores can't hold all of that, so we time very carefully the waves of these products that move into those stores to satisfy that demand. And when now you're 7 days off, that 7 days might be the length of the second wave, and it can potentially put you at risk of not having your goods in the stores at the time you need to have them there.
Larger ships are now bringing in at least 8,000 20-foot equivalent units with each port delivery. This is roughly 4,000 40-foot-long container boxes. Under current conditions, these supersized loads are straining capacity at most terminals where dockside land is at a premium. The nonstop growth in new manufactured goods arriving from the Far East indicates port traffic at LA Long Beach will continue to expand by 8 to 12% annually. Even assuming that some overflow ships could be diverted to other West Coast ports, the ceaseless growth phenomenon would soon saturate those ports as well. In the wake of the goods movement crisis, many stakeholders have begun to take steps to put the crisis behind them and prepare for next year. The railroads have hired thousands of new employees to operate more trains on added track. Many suggest that increasing the number of trains and constructing more rail lines will significantly relieve long-term concerns about cargo congestion.
I think the principal advantage of rail, if used and orchestrated properly, is to relieve the freeways of the congestions that would otherwise be caused by the use of trucks. Rail is less polluting than the equivalent number of trucks that it transports. A single container train can carry between 250 and 280 containers. That's 250 or 280 truck trips that are removed from the freeway. So 3 to 4 locomotives can haul that cargo, and that equipment, the locomotives themselves, are far less polluting than the equivalent number of trucks. Also, locomotives are far more energy efficient than trucks. And in terms of capacity, to add rail capacity to a system is far less expensive on a per mile basis than the equivalent highway expenditure for the equivalent number of trucks that a train can carry.
Another source of congestion at the terminals was the inadequate supply of longshore labor available to service the container movement requirements. As a result, the PMA and ILWU cooperated to add about 1,800 experienced workers to the permanent labor pool since the crisis. Over 3,000 more of the part-time workers, known as casuals, have also been added to the labor supply. Continually adding more trained workers for more shifts should assist in speeding up container transport. The PMA is utilizing new monthly estimating procedures that will help predict future hiring needs with greater accuracy.
One of the things that we really focused on as we got into this whole backlog situation and the labor supply, and do we have enough, not only enough longshoremen in general, but do we have enough foremen, do we have enough clerks, do we have enough trained and skilled guys, is we needed to develop metrics that allowed us the visibility to the industry to be able to, dive down into it and really dissect it and say, if this happens and we need 100 more of these and 200 more of those, and really start being proactive about managing growth going forward. And we have done that. And it has really been an eye-opener for not only, I think, the industry in general, but people that are trying to manage it on a very tactical allocation basis. It gives them a tool to use.
I think we need to really expand our training and even doing some retraining. But I think the key in this industry and with the railroads and elsewhere is to develop that skill level that's necessary, which takes you some time, some money, some training, so it doesn't happen just overnight. But to develop a skilled worker in all the different categories could take anywhere 3, 6, 9 months. I mean, if you wanted a guy who could drive a lift and a heavy lift and a UTR and a crane and all this stuff, it takes people years to reach competency on all the different skill levels. That's really needs to be accelerated in the industry.
The issue of efficient goods movement has 3 related corollaries. The first is the specified hours of loading and delivery. The second is the impact on communities and the environment. And the third is the need for greater security as goods are moved round the clock. Both private industry and elected representatives are searching for solutions to mitigate the problems of port congestion and the increasing truck traffic on freeways and surrounding harbor access roads. Rising levels of potentially hazardous air pollution generated by expanding port activity are also a major health concern for local communities. The demands of trade growth will force solutions on terminal operators and warehousing facilities, invariably requiring extended hours of operation. If industry doesn't develop a viable solution with economic incentives for after-hours operations, the state legislature will enact new laws mandating fines for marine terminals where trucks idle for extended periods.
As far as gate activity and trucks coming into and out of the terminals, it's basically a 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Proposition at this point. The Peer Pass program really encourages pickups after hours. The industry really has initiated this by establishing this Peer Pass program. It's a special entity that will be collecting revenue from all the truck trips throughout the day, and then rebating those truck trips that occur during the off hours. Again, it's a way to spread the volume throughout the day. We hope that it will have air quality benefits where you're not going to have this congested terminal and congested freeways during compressed hours of the day, and really spread that volume throughout and really wring some more efficiencies out of the existing infrastructure and the terminals that we currently have.
New technology at gates will allow for greater scrutiny of drivers and loads. The new automated check-in systems can track drivers and loads on a security-approved database. If the load and driver are cleared by the tracking system, efficiency is served and security is maintained. Larger vessels are creating new concerns for the LA Long Beach Harbor. Though some of the terminals can handle the larger ships, the amount of cargo they hold can require as much as 140 acres on dockside. Multiple ships in port pose a land storage problem. Efficient movement of trucks and rail cars while unloading the larger ships will be critical in keeping land use manageable. The new tracking technology is one way to make land use more efficient.
The advantage of having extended gate hours is that our terminals cannot really grow much anymore. We've pretty much maxed out on the amount of land that we have available in both ports. We're able to grow a little bit in LA, and I think Long Beach probably a little more. But as these big mega ships, these 8,000, 9,000 TEU vessels start to arrive, they take up a lot more space, and we need to turn the cargo quickly. We need to make this a transit dock, not a storage dock at all these facilities. The ideal situation is get your container off the ship, pick it up and leave, whether it goes out on rail or goes out by truck.
Despite the challenges, the industry did manage to move large volumes of cargo during 2004 and did get most goods to store shelves by Christmas. Cooperation among the stakeholders was vital, but similar challenges are around the corner. The future of Southern California's ports will require a political consensus. Essential infrastructure improvements for roads, bridges, freeways, and rails could easily cost $16.5 billion. Growth in trade fueled by consumer demand will have to be balanced by concern for congestion relief and environmental mitigation. Trade is now a major engine driving the Southern California economy. The global logistics chain weaves through the ports on its way across the basins, valleys, and deserts of California. Jobs and economic vitality are at stake throughout the region and the state. Yet the air quality, already considered hazardous in many areas, will suffer even more from population growth and expanding goods movement unless stakeholders continue to work together toward common goals. Getting products to store shelves in the Midwest and beyond involves entry and delivery through California. In that respect, the challenges facing the local ports are also the nation's challenges. The Federal Department of Transportation is opening an office in Long Beach as part of the Southern California Gateway Initiative to keep the goods flowing rapidly to all parts of the country. The pool of stakeholders continues to expand, now encompassing Sacramento and Washington, D.C., as well as all of the consumers in the states affected by cargo trade. As a national concern, the growth of goods movement will depend on federal, state, and local agencies working together, along with labor, shipping, trucking, warehousing, and retailing. Elected representatives, regulatory groups, and community activists have a role ensuring safety, health, and quality of life. The balancing act will continue as far as the eye can see.